At 82, I've lived a life rich with lessons, love, and moments that shaped who I am. But one decision weighs heavily on my heart, choosing to move into a nursing home. At the time, it felt like the right path. My family encouraged it, promising a life of ease, safety, and care. They described a place where I'd be looked after, where my needs would be met without worry. I trusted their vision, but once I stepped into that world, I found a reality far different from their assurances. If you or a loved one are considering a nursing home, you might see it as the safest or most practical choice, a way to ensure comfort and security. But before you make that life-altering decision, I want to share 6 truths I wish I'd known. Life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience, it transforms every aspect of your being, and leaving is far harder than you might expect. Stay with me until the end, as these lessons might surprise you and could be exactly what you need to hear before taking such a significant step. Let's dive into the 6 regrets that have reshaped my understanding of this choice. Regret 1, losing my independence. The most devastating shock of moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the fixed meal times, or the unfamiliar faces. It was the sudden realization that I no longer controlled my own life. At home, I had my own rhythm built over a lifetime. I chose when to wake up, what to cook for dinner, and how to spend my days. I could walk to my porch to water my geraniums, sit in my favorite recliner with a cup of tea, or spend an evening knitting a scarf for a friend. These small acts were my freedom, the quiet joys that made life mine. But in the nursing home, that freedom vanished. My days were governed by a schedule I didn't set. Breakfast was served at 7 a.m., whether I was ready or not. Lights out came at 10 p.m., even if I wanted to read. If I wanted to step outside for a walk, I had to ask permission and wait for a staff member to accompany me. Simple choices, what to eat, what to wear, when to bathe, became privileges, not rights, dictated by the facility's rules. My first morning there is etched in my memory. I woke in a stiff, unfamiliar bed, reaching for the journal I kept on my nightstand at home. It wasn't there. My home, my flowers, my recliner, the keepsakes I'd cherished for decades was gone, replaced by bare walls, a clinical bed, and a sinking feeling I was no longer in charge. The hardest truth. Once you give up your independence, it's nearly impossible to reclaim. You adapt to survive. You stop arguing when they serve you food you don't like. You stop asking to go outside when it's not convenient. You bend to their system, but in doing so, you lose pieces of yourself. I saw it in others too. There was a woman named Lillian, a retired librarian who used to spend her mornings organizing her bookshelves. In the nursing home, she had no shelves, no quiet corner to call her own. She'd sit in the lounge, her hands idle, her spark fading. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to surrender the freedoms that define your days? The ability to choose your meals, your schedule, your pace. These are the threads that weave your life together. Once they're gone, the loss is a constant ache, harder to bear than you might imagine. Regret 2, feeling forgotten. One of the hardest truths about nursing home life is how quickly the world outside moves on without you. When I first arrived, my family promised frequent visits. "We'll be here every week," Mom, my son, said, his voice full of warmth. I believed him. In the beginning, they kept their word. My daughter brought cookies on Sundays. My grandchildren stopped by with stories of school and sports. For a while, I felt connected to the life I'd left behind. But as months passed, the visits tapered off. My daughter's trips became phone calls, then occasional texts. My grandchildren got busy with exams, jobs, and new friends. Holidays were the worst. They'd swear they'd come for Christmas or my birthday, but something always came up: a flu, a work emergency, a last-minute plan. I'd sit in the common room watching other residents stare at the door, their eyes hopeful, then empty. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life outside the nursing home is fast-paced, and when you're no longer part of their daily routines, when they don't see you at the breakfast table or hear your laughter in the house, it's easy for them to assume you're fine. They think the staff is taking care of you, that you're settling in, that you don't need them as much. But the loneliness seeps in slow and heavy like a fog you don't notice until it surrounds you. One evening, I sat by my window holding my phone, debating whether to call my daughter. I didn't want to seem needy or guilt her into visiting, so I put it down, staring into the quiet. That moment defined my new reality, waiting for connection, unsure if it would come. I saw it in others too. A man named Arthur, a former gardener, used to light up when his son visited. But as the visits grew rare, he stopped talking about him. He'd sit by the window tracing the same puzzle book, his face blank. The staff were kind, but they couldn't fill the void of family. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the isolation that comes when the world moves on? No matter how much your loved ones care, being out of sight can mean being out of mind, and that solitude cuts deeper than you expect. If you're finding this valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future insights. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. I thought moving into a nursing home meant changing where I lived, not why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities that gave my days meaning. I tended my vegetable garden, brewed my morning tea, and wrote letters to distant cousins. I'd knit hats for my grandchildren or organize my old recipe cards. These tasks, however small, were my purpose reasons to rise each morning with intention. But in the nursing home, those purposes evaporated. Meals were prepared for me, so I didn't cook. My room was cleaned by staff, so I didn't tidy up. There was no garden to tend, no letters to write, no projects to spark my days. At first, I thought it'd be a relief to be free of chores, but soon an emptiness settled in. The days dragged on, each one a mirror of the last, with nothing to do but wait for the next meal or activity. I saw the same loss in others. There was a man named Frank, a retired carpenter, who used to spend hours crafting wooden toys in his workshop. In the nursing home, he had no tools, no workbench, no reason to get up with purpose. He'd sit in the hallway, his hands restless, his eyes distant. I feel like I'm just waiting, he told me once, his voice heavy with defeat. I felt that weight too. Without something to care for, to work toward, life feels hollow. The mind grows sluggish, the body weakens, and you become just another resident in a place where time stretches without meaning. The facility offered activities, card games, sing-alongs, occasional crafts, but they felt like distractions, not purposes. I tried joining a knitting group, but it wasn't the same as choosing my own projects at home. Purpose isn't just about staying busy. It's about feeling your actions matter, that you're still shaping your life. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, what gives your days meaning? Your hobbies, your routines, the tasks you do for yourself, are you ready to let them go? Because in a nursing home, purpose is a fight, and without it, you risk losing the spark that keeps you alive. Regret 4. Declining health. Faster than expected. Before the nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't climbing mountains, but I could manage my daily life, cooking meals, walking to the corner store, doing light stretches to keep my joints limber. Those routines kept me strong, physically and mentally. But in the nursing home, everything changed. Meals were brought to me, so I stopped cooking. Staff handled tasks, so I moved less. At first, it felt like a luxury, no more carrying groceries or scrubbing pots. But soon I noticed my legs felt stiffer, my steps less steady. Getting up from a chair became a challenge, and the strength I'd maintained slipped away faster than I'd ever imagined. I saw it in others too. There was a woman named Dorothy, 80, who arrived full of energy. She'd walk the halls daily, chatting about her love for gardening. But within months, she slowed. She started using a cane, then a walker, then a wheelchair. I feel like I aged a decade, she said, her voice trembling. I felt it too. The more help we got, the more we needed. In a place designed for ease, you stop using your body and it fades. The less you move, the faster you decline, and the cycle is relentless. I wish I'd fought harder to stay active. The nursing home had exercise classes, but they were easy to skip when I felt tired. If I'd known how quickly my strength would fade, I'd have pushed myself to walk more, to stretch, to keep my body strong. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, will you have the drive to stay active when everything is done for you? Because once your strength fades, rebuilding it is harder than you think, and that decline can steal your vitality faster than you expect. If you're still reading, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. Your support keeps me going. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. I never realized how much I valued privacy until it was gone. At home, I had my sanctuary, my bedroom where I could close the door, my living room where I could read in peace, my quiet moments to reflect or pray. In the nursing home, privacy was a luxury I couldn't afford. Staff came in and out for checks, medication, or assistance. Shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even intimate tasks, dressing, bathing, using the bathroom, often required help, which felt like a quiet erosion of my dignity. I knew the staff were doing their jobs, but it's humbling to need assistance for things you've done independently for a lifetime. In my first week, I struggled with the loss of control. Want a shower? I had to wait for an aid's availability. Need the bathroom? The call button sometimes meant a long wait. Meals were set if I didn't like the menu I ate anyway. Sharing a room was another challenge. I was lucky with a kind roommate, but others weren't. One man, Edward, had a roommate who played the TV all night, disrupting sleep. Another woman dealt with a roommate's confusion, wandering into her space. No matter how you try to make your room feel like home, it's never yours. The furniture, the walls, the schedule all belong to the facility. Dignity slips away in subtle ways. Staff might knock, but enter without waiting. You're treated as a patient, not a person with a lifetime of stories. Your days bend to someone else's clock. I felt myself fading, becoming just another name on a chart. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you ready to surrender the privacy and dignity you've always known? Because once they're gone, it's hard to feel whole again. Regret 6. Realizing leaving is harder than you think. I moved into the nursing home thinking it was temporary. If I didn't like it, I'd go home. It seemed simple, but leaving was a maze of obstacles. My house sat empty, and my children started clearing it out, selling furniture, boxing up memories, assuming I'd stay. When I mentioned returning, they hesitated. Can you manage alone, my son asked. It's safer here. I saw their concern, but it felt like they'd already let go of my old life. The longer I stayed, the harder leaving became. Months of less activity left me weaker. Tasks like cooking or climbing stairs felt daunting. My confidence eroded, and living alone seemed impossible. I met others in the same trap. A woman named Helen planned to stay briefly after a fall, but her apartment was rented out, her savings drained by care costs. The nursing home became her only world. The financial, physical, and emotional barriers were bigger than I'd imagined. Your home changes, your body falters, and the life you knew slips away. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the chance that leaving might not be an option? Once you settle in, the world shifts, and the path back is steeper than you expect. If you're still here, please comment number 6 below. Please subscribe and share to support more stories like this. Final thoughts. I don't regret growing older. Aging is a gift, but I regret believing a nursing home was my only path. I expected comfort and care, but lost my independence, privacy, purpose. And parts of myself I hadn't known were so vital. Are nursing homes bad? Not always. Some need their care. But weigh what you're giving up. Your routines, your freedom, your sense of self. These are worth fighting for. If I could go back, I'd have explored every option in home aids, community programs, anything to stay in my home. I'd have asked tougher questions about necessity versus convenience. If you're facing this choice, take your time. Ask, is this the best path or just the easiest? Your life, your choices, your home, your purpose is worth holding on to as long as you can. Don't let ease overshadow what makes you you. Thank you for reading. Share one thing you learned in the comments and how you'll use it. Your thoughts inspire me. If this resonated, like, subscribe and share to help others choose wisely. I look forward to connecting again.